Family? Death is your only family. Death and I. Best get accustomed to the both of us.
So, as of writing this script, I have no idea what to say about this game that no one else has already said. It's fucking god tier to the point that they might as well have named it Greek Mythology, the sequel. Hades' son has some weird voodoo magic fuck that causes men and women alike to soak their underwear on the first time they'd even seen the pixels that make up his face. Well, I mean, he's pretty daddy. Even Aphrodite's into him, so that's neat. But with all good things, there is always the bad. Everything will have flaws, no matter how hard you try and hammer them, like you hammer your stepson when you're too hammered on alcohol. But, I'll get to those in a bit. Right now, my sword is dry, my head is high, and the demons ahead, your time is nigh. This is a game, indeed it is a game. Also, my name is Adreza. Roll the intro! So, Hades was released just a short while ago, but it got teased, like, a long, long time ago, like 4 years ago at an E3 trailer. I mean, it mostly got overlooked because, well, it's an E3 early access trailer, and most games in early access are about as garbage as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. But when it was released, it turns out people thought the Sexy Mama's Boy was actually really fucking good. Now, roguelites aren't normally my thing, with the exception of Dead Cells and Ori Will of the Wisp. Those are just fucking bangers. But I want to see why this game is getting more praise than Jesus Christ. So let me, play a little bit of the game, and I'll see you in about, 30 minutes to an hour.
3 days later.
Fuck, this game is so good! I normally hate roguelite games, but this one's just so phenomenal. It's like it takes the charm and tight gameplay of Dead Cells and puts it on a third dimension. I thought that was illegal. And not only are the gameplay aspects and the visuals tighter than the fucking jar of pickles my mother leaves in the fridge that no one can open, that fucking straddles the bar and sets a higher standard for all sorts of different games than roguelites. The character interactions between Zagreus and all sorts of different characters like Nyx and Zeus and Poseidon are all so real. You can see legitimate emotion, not just scripting. It's so good. You actually feel for the main character. Oh my god. Alright. Let me spit the indie penis out of my mouth and give my proper, constructed, and nuanced thoughts. First, we got the story. The story. You play as Hades' young spawn Zagreus, who is more cheeky and witty than he is angry or stabby. There's nothing wrong with that in my opinion. I think he's a really good and fun character. Like, so far he's got a lot going for him. Good personality, good backstory, a good motive for what he's doing, and he's probably got a massive cock according to the internet. Your objective is to get out of the underworld and survive the gauntlet of monsters evil Papa Hades set for you, because there is no escape, and Hades isn't a nice guy, because, well, duh. I mean, why would he be a happy guy? He got shafted and forced into a position in hell. He's surrounded by riches, an incredibly attractive wife, who's really sweet and nice, and who is essentially the pure manifestation of darkness itself, with the tiggled bitties. A lot of people think Hades isn't a really good father figure, well, being the ruler of the underworld and all. But I mean, I like to think he isn't terrible. He just tries to kill his son repeatedly, get angry at him for literally no purpose, and shelters himself from any contact to the outside world. Normal dad stuff. And in order to escape the underworld, Zergrush commits identity theft, claiming messages and blessings from the other gods that aid you on your journey, like Zeus's lightning, or Poseidon's splish splash, or Persephone's sexiness, or unbridled peace. You got a lot of fun stuff to play with. Okay, honestly though, most of the fun that I've had is listening to the character interactions between the deities and the family of the underworld and Zagreus. I genuinely find all of them charming, and they had me chuckling and laughing on more than one occasion. Like, watching Bad Breath question his appearance before meeting Persephone, and the charming demeanor of Daddy Dionysus, and how much he enjoys partying. I mean, even the narrator and Zagreus interacting is great. Like, wow.
I see you've made it all the way to Hallowed Elysium, cousin. A significant way toward the surface, and if you could get there the one time, surely you have what it takes to do it again, and overcome the dangers that await therein.
Oh, what's good there, cuz? Who am I kidding? We can cut the small talk. I don't mind. I interrupt my brothers and sisters all the time.
Lasting relationships are built on reciprocity. So if you lavish me with gifts, why, what am I to do but give you something in return?
Sometimes I have to wonder, man, what's going through your head. I mean, I know you hear me and the others, but it's so damn dark down there, I can't hear you at all.
We each have our commitments to this house, Megara. There is no shame in yours. And whilst your sisters are away, you bear their burden of responsibility as well.
I understand. It's just... Am I supposed to keep pretending nothing's changed? This house is cracking at the seams, and no one's going to admit it?
The house shall stand eternally. Although in what condition, it is ours to decide. Our obligation is to keep the house in order.
I know. You're right, of course you're right. I'll do my best. I'll do my best for both our sakes, Nyx.
Within the depths of Tartarus reside the most wretched of all the shades who linger for eternity within the underworld, whose lord and master is especially unkind to those attempting to cheat death.
Lots of wretchedness to go around, I guess.
For the sake of the review, I'm gonna leave out any of the spoilers that I happen to come across, because I'm sure that everybody on the internet already fucking spoiled it because this game is old. But it's fine. I'm honestly more excited about the gameplay than anything else. I know I really talked about how much I enjoyed the interactions, but the gameplay... You know what? Let's just get right into it. Let's just fucking go. So a minute ago, I made a comparison to Dead Cells, and for good reason. I'll get to that in a moment, but the few pieces that I want to point out are the combat and the movement. In Dead Cells, you have two weapons that do simple things that, when combined with your gear and items and perks, make some pretty sick combos. I mean, well, for example, you could use a sword and a shield and make a common sense sort of play style. You could throw in a mobile turret and a grenade and you have the normie way to play video games. Or, you can do what I do. You can use your pure foot, a ginormous hammer that caves skulls in like they're fucking squishing bubble wrap, literally any freeze ability, and a magical owl that just sort of floats there, and you're having the time of your life. That's the Chad way that you play this video game. That's the Chad way you play Dead Cells. However, Hades is much simpler. Hades makes you choose between a series of weapons, 6 at a total. I mean, my favorite is the shield so far, and a summon, which is essentially a high damage projectile that travels a pretty far distance without upgrades. The weapons in Hades, however, have their own combo system. For example, the shield has a shield bash charge that blocks all projectiles in front of it, and a shield toss. However, if you were to use something like the spear, you would instead have dash abilities that allow you to move, and a throwing ability that would allow you to recall it as well, kind of like Thor's hammer, but different universe. There are also upgrades for your abilities and weapons and other shit, like your summons, called blessings, Blessings are what the gods send down, which I referred to in the story bit, but they enhance all of your abilities. For example, we'll take Ares and Persephone. Ares gives a bonus called Doom, which enhances your attacks with a damage tick that happens after a second of them not taking damage. It's just extra damage. It's pretty nice. However, Persephone gives you Weak. Weak reduces the damage that enemies will do to you, making it a bit easier to survive higher damage enemies, and especially lower damage enemies that do AoE. It makes it a lot easier to survive, actually, and it's one that I commonly use myself. Quick little bonus point that I want to add on in here while I'm editing this at 3:48 a.m. When you get an upgrade from the gods, and you change your summon, or your special, or your basic attacks, it actually changes the visual effect of the weapon or the summon. They didn't have to do that, but I'm very glad they did. It makes me just a little bit happier and reminds me that I'm not 100% dead inside. But with every good, there's always some bad. So let's get being an asshole out of the way and whatnot, I guess. I don't know. I have yet to finish the game as of making this video, so take what I have to say with the smallest atom speck of salt. But the weapon upgrades and abilities are lame, and fuck armored enemies. Oh god, I hate it. And that's mainly on me, but fuck, I hate armor. Now, there is a little bit to unpack there, so please resist the urge to stone me when I walk down the street to go get my 3 a.m. coffee. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. The weapons are lame. Let's get into that a little bit more into depth. What I mean by the weapons are lame is not the designs, because they're, again, righteous as fuck. It's more along the lines of what they do and how they function, rather than their design. For example, the shield has an ability where if you're charging up your shield bash technique, you take no damage from the front, like at all. Any damage that you take frontwards where you're headed towards in the dash is completely negated. And that opens up some opportunities for cheese. For example, there's a room in the Torrent of Death that Hades has prepared for you, which is essentially a survival room which can last up to 30 seconds to a minute and a half, I think. I haven't measured the time. You could use the shield to completely negate all of the damage incoming from all of the enemies, environmental or otherwise, and all you really need to do is sit in a fucking corner and charge your shield. It's a good concept on paper. However, it also is just a really lame ability. Let's take a look at another one. The sword. A great weapon, my second favorite. It is just basic because it is just a sword. However, I get why it's there. I just wish it did something noteworthy. I mean, yeah, it has a cool little fucking AoE slash ability, but in the end, it's just the same thing. It's a single-use gimmick. Alright, last example. The bow and arrow is... it's fucking garbage. There's no way to be able to pass that off as a good weapon. It's just bad. I have nothing against it. I love bow and arrows, especially in certain shooters. Well, I don't love it, but I fucking... It can be fun if implemented right, like in Crysis. But the bow in this just feels so sloppy to use that there's almost never a reason you should ever have to fucking use it, ever. Except for, like, the bonus darkness shit or whatever it is. So there's half of my complaints. It feels clunky to use, and it just doesn't feel rewarding to use the weapons. Let's go to the second part. I hate armored enemies with a passion. There's no way to get around that. I've tried. I just fucking hate it. Look, I like the element of the armor, and I like the concept that it brings. I don't disagree with it, because it's good to have something that challenges you. However, it's oftentimes used in the shittiest ways. I mean, yeah, it does its job. It makes mini-bosses harder, and it makes enemies tougher to kill. But the worst part about it that I absolutely despise is the CC negation that armor brings. Like, I hate it. I'm gonna be honest. The reason that I hate it so much is because I didn't know that it negated CC for like 80% of the time that I played the game, because I didn't bother paying attention, and kind of fucked me over, because I didn't know that enemies wouldn't stagger from my attacks. I was getting confused, like I was, doing something wrong. I mean, I was, but still, fuck you, game. Alright, couple notable mentions. The upgrade trees in this game are vast. Like, It's literally the definition of an old fucking meme. Yo dog, I heard you like upgrades, so I got upgrades for your upgrades, so you can have upgrades for your upgrades. Like, I know it's stupid to phrase it like that, but that's exactly what it is. And I'll explain here in a second. The other thing that I like about Hades, before I get into my previous topic, is that it punishes you for your failures and missteps, but it also rewards you adequately as well. It doesn't feel like a game like fucking League of Legends where you could misstep one tiny fucking pixel and then suffer the entire game for it. It feels more rewarding, I guess, if I had to phrase it properly. I don't know. The point is it feels better to win and it feels better to lose. Okay, back to my previous point. My favorite games will forever be Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, and I love them. I love them so much, inexplicably so. Doom Eternal's upgrade system is so big. Every upgrade feels so impactful and more important as well, even if they do subtle, tiny, passive things. And that's exactly like what this upgrade tree is in Hades. For example, you need a weapon upgrade that will modify the damage that you do, well, bam. You can get yourself a deity blessing or a hammer rework in order to fucking make your weapon better and stronger. Give it armor strip as well. You can get summoning upgrades. You can get passive upgrades. You can get the god's literal abilities to just into existence and fuck shit up. And there's so many different things that you can add on to that too, whether it's just adding a new room into the maze, adding better and easier ways to collect gold, adding passive increases, and having the ability to switch your playstyle off of indirect damage to dodge specific points to critical strike areas. It's very well made for the type of roguelite it is, and I love it. Look, I don't play that many roguelites, so cut me some slack. This could be a common thing, but I don't fucking know. Look, I know I'm critical about the games that I play. I really am. They've been a part of my life for as long as I can remember, and I know I'm not exactly the best at them. But at the end, if the game can make you happy, then is it really worth criticizing to a ridiculous extent? Yes, it is. 0 out of 10. There isn't a single bare titty in that game. I didn't see a nipple, and I'm done with it. Fuck you! Oh god, that was a long one to make. I procrastinated on that forever. Well, thanks for coming and joining this shit show. I have no idea how much attention or love that this video is going to get. I honestly hope that it either gets wild critical success so I can break some kind of record, or doesn't get noticed at all, because this is probably the worst thing that I've made at 4:08 a.m. in the morning. Oh my god, I gotta go to fucking sleep. Look, this is gonna be a different style video because I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I'm trying to figure out my way through this weird ocean that YouTube is. I don't know. I don't think I'm doing it right. I don't know. So I'll probably update something or make a new video in a different style or a more friendly approach. Like, I'm making a new video on Horizon Zero Dawn right now. I don't plan on doing anything else past that, and I hope that it's good. I'm going to have to edit all of this tomorrow morning and hope my mother doesn't yell at me.